Welcome to the Legendary League of Legends podcast. This week is a somber week, so I shall lead off by reading the tale of this split. It begins at the end of Gauntlet 2019. After losing the 2019 Gauntlet series, Weldon Green, the head coach of CLG, went for an early stroll along the beach to meditate and clear his mind after a long split. As he walked, he stumped his toe on something metallic. It's a genie lamp. "You have freed me, so I shall grant you 3 wishes," the genie boomed. "But I am not as powerful as I once was, so I can only grant second best wishes." Weldon thought about it for a while. Knowing Irene was leaving, he said, "I wish for a strategic coach that has coached a world's team." "Granted," said the genie. "Make Song an offer, and he will join your team." Weldon made a second wish. "I wish for a former world champion mid laner." "Granted," said the genie. "Crown will be available, and he will join your team." Weldon rubbed his hands and made his final wish. "I wish for CLG to finish exactly 1 spot behind Team Liquid." Miles away, it is Disney Mansion. Steve, Liquid 112, Arnett, bolted upright from asleep in a cold sweat. That was Sunday. That was what Sunday was to me. Watching Steve's dreams crumble around him from his Disney mansion. This is my favorite meme to come out of this split, by the way. Like 100%. What do you think, Haymont? How do you feel about this split and its happenings? Results. That's the word.
You know what? I'll only take the positives from it, which was that FlyQuest came in 3rd, 4th, I believe. I forget at the end of it, 3rd or 4th, somewhere in between.
It was 3rd.
It was 3rd. Thank goodness.
Wait.
All right, so they came in 3rd.
I had them as 4th here, actually.
Oh yeah, that's right. TSM finished 4th.
No, TSM finished 5th. It was EG, 100 Thieves, and Fly that were playing for 2nd place. Technically, they're tied for 2nd. Technically, but tiebreakers.
Yep. I just wanted you to say TSM finished 5th.
I mean, sure. You know where they didn't finish after winning 4 championships in a row with the touted best AD carry in North America?
Where did they not finish?
They did not finish 9th.
Okay.
9th fucking place.
Fair enough.
Finished 9th. The team with Broxa, Double Lift, Jensen, Impact, and Core JJ finished 9th.
Yep. And CLG might have something next split. Maybe. Please. I just want to build my teams
Before we dive into the TL topic and what we kind of think went wrong and how we would go about fixing it, we have to kind of touch on C9's second best 17-1 split, only coming short of TSM 17-0 split. So close yet so far, Matt. What do you think of your boys finishing 17-1?
I mean, shout out to C9. Right, like for holding it down. They were really, really good this split. I don't think a lot of us C9 fans can complain. I know that I, like many others, were a little bit worried coming into the split, given the loss of our sweet boy, Sneaky. However, I think we managed to be okay.
Managed. That's a light word.
Thank goodness for that.
Pretty light.
It turns out that you replace your AD carry with somebody who got like an 80-something KDA in the first 4 weeks or some shit. Oh. Sven's been nasty this split, man.
He truly has been.
This whole team is crazy, and they basically have the 3 frontrunners for MVP, and if you don't have Blabber, Niski, or Sven in your MVP, like if you had a top 3, you're just wrong. You just don't know what you're doing, and you probably shouldn't be given an MVP ballot in the future.
Shouldn't even have been given it. Wow.
Didn't even have.
Excuse me.
My only problem with C9 this one is that they look like the only team that knows what the fuck they're doing, and everyone else is just sort of trying to fix their boat while they're sailing. No, and they're trying to plug all the holes, and they don't have enough fingers to plug all the holes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like watching the LCS right now, and it's real. It's real. Not traumatizing, stressful. Yeah, I guess stressful. It's tense. I'm just like, nobody can play the game. What the fuck? Everyone loses to everyone. It doesn't make any sense anymore.
Except
that
C9 minus that one time.
C9 minus that one time.
And that's the one time that matters. Don't you forget it. Coming back. You know it's coming back.
You absolute animal. You fucking baboon. Nothing matters. It's spring split.
That's Double Lift's opinion right there.
The other thing about C9 is that I feel like they haven't just played one style and relied on that style to consistently get wins and just win the split and keep winning. They've played a lot of different shit. They played a lot of different champions, and they've made a lot of it work, either through raw skill or through just knowing that strategy better than other teams do, or knowing the counters and how to take the counters. Like, there were some games where some teams were pretty competitive with them, but in the end, C9 was almost always the better. Almost.
They had a lot of confidence going 17-1. They have a lot more confidence than other teams. They trust their teammates a lot better than most teams trust their teammates, right? They're confident that, all right, when I say that this call is going to happen, it's going to happen. I don't know necessarily who's shot calling. Sven's normally the one who's the most experienced player on that. But all of them seem to trust each other. All of them seem to be like, all right, this is the play that we're doing. How do we optimize it? How do we make it better? And then just execute. Yeah. They can just pull the trigger whenever they want to.
Matt, any last words about your boys before we talk about the results from this weekend?
Nope.
All right. So,
I said my piece. No.
So,
my name.
Haymont continues to just win the picks despite the odds.
I told you, Medios' boxers.
I forgot to highlight the fly game for some reason. Apparently we all got that right, unless I don't know.
Oh my god, I'm specifically amazed.
All right, so yeah. I actually keep my 500 record.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me 1 minute to update the numbers, and I will go over results from this split. Okay, so for the entire split, I went an even 45 out of 45, getting 50%. Matt went 47 out of 43. This is all assuming all of my numbers are correct, which I'm not sure, but
I also don't trust you, but I also might have to fact check you.
And Haymont got a 48 out of 42, making him the big winner in predictions by a whopping 3% this split.
Was I in last?
No, you were second. I was last and had an even 50. I will continue to be the coin flip predictions.
Oh man, I can't believe it. This is what it's come to. Well, where are we going with this now? Because even though I won, I don't really feel like gloating as yet.
Like you don't feel like gloating?
No, I want to save it for one particular time. I'm waiting just for the perfect moment.
This is the perfect moment. You just won.
Yes. But I think I can win harder in another place.
You would win the prediction pineapple if we had one. But I'm too lazy to find one to give to you. Because I'm also not going to go to your house to give it to you. Especially because I'm in quarantine.
Yep. Ah, man. Well, in that case, I'm happy that I came first just by randomly picking occasionally
Randomly.
and just
I
going
mean,
with
to
my
be honest,
gut.
that's what his strat was, and we both know it, which is what makes it hurt all the more.
So, StatsBot, the machine that does all of the math to figure out who has the better elo and basically picks matches based on that, has a negative win rate this split. Which tells me it was impossible to predict this split objectively.
Indeed.
Which means Haymont's strategy of randomness is probably better than deciding that TL should probably start winning some games.
It's at least as good.
Oh my
Yay,
God.
chaos.
Chaos theory. So,
Medios' boxers.
So 100 Thieves actually has been on quite the upturn recently. I think 100 Thieves and Golden Guardians both have really been trending upwards, and it kind of showed up this weekend in that they no 100 Thieves didn't beat EG for second place, but they beat FlyQuest, and so did Golden Guardians, by the way. Golden Guardians beat them too. So I'm wondering what do we think of these two teams? Or at least this weekend. Do they look strong to us, or do they just kind of look like they have a little bit more consistency than TSM and their ceiling's much closer, which I feel is the more real answer?
I want to take 100 Thieves because, well, that's been one of the teams that I've been rooting for since the beginning of the split. It seems like in their first game, because this was a good 4 games that they played, right? In their first game, they were basically like, all right, hey there, Medios is not having a good time right now. Can we go to Someday? Yes, and Someday delivered. The second game, it was more cohesive. They seemed to be working more like... Yes, Someday delivered on Tank Orn, which is rather impressive.
Now that's a fucking fact.
Yes! The second game, they looked much more cohesive. Medios looked much better on Sejuani than his first game that he played this split as that particular champion. So it was really great. It looked like Cody's son, even though he was a bit dazed in the first game, started to get it back together. So they're a bit on the up and up. Still not particularly strong because Ryoma is still not that very suitable carry that you want in the mid lane as yet. He needs a lot more work before he can actually reach that spot, but unfortunately it's cinch time, right? So we'll find out. I don't have particularly high expectations for 100 Thieves when it comes to the full 5v5s because this will be Ryoma's not his first series, but his first series within North America. What did I say? Not 5v5. Best of 5 series. That's what I meant to say at the time. But I don't think they're going to do particularly strong.
Ryoma's been improving a lot, to me at least. He came in looking like basically hot garbage, and he's grown to be a little bit more consistent than that. And contrasting him with Ica, who still looks like a silver shitter compared to everyone else in this league, it's just night and day. And I think Papa might have a good opportunity here with Ryoma, but I'm not too sure where Ryoma's ceiling is at the moment. I don't know if I still think he would have been better off with Pobelter. I think half the league would have been better off with Pobelter, to be honest.
Yes. And like a little bit of yes, a little bit of no. Not to the Pobelter comment, but to the Ryoma comment. Because what they've been doing is that instead of having him on early game champions like LeBlanc and stuff like that, they've been putting him on the later like snipers like Zoe. He's had to practice for quite a long time. His most recent picks have been Victor in the mid lane, which has, while having potential, is very much a late game carry, mid to late game carry. And putting Oriana, who always has those perfect team fight ultis, by putting him on champions, where he can in the late game actually do something and make those plays. Right, they're patching up his laning. They're patching up his. That's what they're trying to do right now. I still don't think that if he gets particularly pressured in the mid lane, that he's going to hold up. If you do just target him, send the jungler there in the mid lane, in addition to just having an altogether better mid laner, right?
Yeah. I just my flaws with Ryoma seem to be how much more he can grow, less than how good I think he is now. Like, I don't think that they're going to beat C9 with this roster. Like, there's no way Ryoma beats Niski, and I don't think Ryoma's gonna beat Jizuke either. Like, Jizuke looks like he's been performing very well, especially this weekend. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's the question: is where's his ceiling? Is he gonna be able to get over a lot of these established players? And I would guess no. But
He's gonna
go.
he's gonna at least need a couple more months, right? This is not a process like his champion pool where he's able to play like champions that Bjergsen or Niski or even Golden Glue can play like proficiently within the games, right? He's not up to those like NA mid laners levels. He really needs to start working on his champions, expanding his champion pool, and most importantly, being able to bring it into those professional games.
I mean, that is the most important thing for a pro mid laner to do.
Yeah. Well, like I'm saying, right now it looks like he only has 3 champions that he can play within team fighting.
Hey man, that's
within
what they
the
tell you to get when you're trying to climb.
I mean, yeah, but when you're here with established mid laners, 3 champions is probably not going to be enough. Especially if they're also very proficient at those champions as well. If in a full series, it's going to be really hard for him to like surprise anyone or to pull out a random pick because people don't have high expectations. People aren't afraid.
So, looking at TL specifically this weekend, they needed to win 1 game in their last 3 to get a playoff spot, or to tie for a playoff spot.
But
and they did it. They also lost the game to CLG, which pushed them right out of playoff contention.
Mm-hmm.
So it turned out losing to CLG is probably the worst thing you can do for your playoff positioning.
Mm-hmm. That's confusing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because you know the other team that lost to CLG?
Ah, man. Who was the other team that lost to CLG?
It's the other team that was out of their tiebreaker for the spot they were trying to get. TSM.
Sorry, did you mean FreeSM?
No.
Yes.
I said TSM. The team that gets a pentacle and still loses.
Mm-hmm. Very confusing game.
There's
been a lot of those.
That was TSM just playing the game like garbage. Oh my god! How do you throw that game?
They did it very impressively. To say
Is there any other games that were of interest? I think the INTEG game, like I said last week, was probably well, now it's the second most interesting, but it was going to be the most interesting at the time. But like that game was pretty good.
The IMT Dignitas game was a game.
You mean the one?
I mean, yes, by definition, it was indeed a game.
You mean the game where Dignitas tried their hardest to make sure that TL definitely had a shot at making playoffs?
Or that IMT tried their hardest to make sure that TL had a chance of making playoffs.
You're right. I'm wrong. You're right. That's a better take.
We can't say. Right. That was indeed a game that we watched, but probably one of the more interesting ones on like an honestly good note was the tiebreaker between GG and Dignitas. That one was a bit more interesting, more so because there were apparent flaws that showed up within Dignitas' gameplay that GG had apparent advantages over. They were much better on objective timing, even though Dignitas was still getting kills. It was a good game to watch and see how collectively better they were actually at getting those objectives and making sure to lock them down.
Like I was saying before, Golden Guardians have been really impressing this weekend, especially including the tiebreakers, because I think they played both of them, right? So
They played both.
Did they? I don't remember.
Yeah. They basically went 4-0,
Yes.
which is rather impressive considering the from last week there was no way that anyone would have guessed that GG would just go 4-0.
GG only played the second tiebreaker against Dig.
Ooh, I'm a liar.
Oh. Yes, I also forgot. Who he's Zig's pick. What do you make of that one?
That was probably a good idea. Did you? Hang on, I gotta pull up the fucking match history on that one.
That was very interesting. Worked very well in their favor.
Day 1 or day 2?
I am trying to remember. Who are they playing? GG versus Fly. I think they pulled it out versus FlyQuest. But apparently, when your back's against the wall and you really have nothing to lose, wing it. And it worked.
Wing it, he said.
That's honestly what I feel happened.
It wasn't
for
the
them this
FlyQuest game, it was the other.
It was the CLG game. Oh yeah, that's the one that I was looking forward to. For other reasons that were not supposed to be that.
Yeah, he picked it against Tom Kench, who is straight useless if you play any sort of push and mage, because you can just walk up to the turret and kill it, because Tom Kench doesn't have any engage anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take Ziggs with a satchel charge, you just kill all the turrets. And that's what happened. All the turrets were dead, and they got 2 slams off of Rift Herald, then satchel charged right after and got a bunch of free turrets for that shit. They got a free inhib turret because of that. Like, what the fuck? That's a good combo. That's interesting. But I think it only worked because of how, like, weak a team comp CLG's it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Corky isn't gonna do shit here. Corky's useless here. I don't know why they picked this. Oh, wait! One of the FlyQuest games, there was a massive pick ban issue I found.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Was I talking about it with you? I was talking about it with somebody, but they banned Trundle second rotation on blue side before the other team banned Sejuani or picked Sejuani. No. Before the other team, before the other team had used both their bans. So normally, what you would want to do is leave up Trundle for blue side until they ban it, and then you can ban Sejuani.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, they first banned it. So red side got a ban in, then blue side bans Trundle, then they don't second ban Sejuani. And red side takes Sejuani. And now you don't have a counter to Sejuani.
No, now you don't have an effective counter to Sejuani. Which is very weird because Santorin's been, well, every jungler should have a Trundle, but his has been particularly good. I know it's not that much, but
No, wait, what?
What? I've been liking how he's played Trundle.
Santorin's Trundle?
Santorin's Trundle, which is not something that's very amazing to point out, but it's something that I do point out. Hey, he had some really good games on it.
Who was the one that stopped the he stopped somebody's dash with the Trundle pillar? It was pure reaction. I think it was an Ornn dash to hit his ultimate, and he stopped it with Trundle pillar. It was real good.
Oh my god. I'm getting confused because it was between the 100 Thieves games and the FlyQuest games. I did think I see it's either Medios or Santorin. But I forget which one. Okay. Those two kind of blended together in my head, unfortunately.
Alright. Let's move on to talking about some of the teams that are going to leave us behind. First up, we have Team Liquid.
The
LCS champion.
champion, not getting playoffs. First
Ninth
team
place.
in history.
9th place.
Uh-huh.
Unfucking lucky, by the way.
Oh my god. Even if you're playing with a random ass jungler, how does this team not make playoffs?
Rip
What the
everyone.
hell?
Rip everyone's predictions. Oh God.
Oh my god.
True.
You know, I would say this destroyed our power rankings, but it didn't destroy our power rankings as much as yours got destroyed by CLG and C9.
Yep.
Who's that yours directed at?
That's me.
Hamons, who the fuck do you think?
Hey, I had 100T up there. Wait a minute.
We'll talk about the power rankings after we talk about these teams. Let's talk about TL and why the fuck they exploded. Oh my god. Alright, so at the beginning of the split, Broxa has visa issues. And, okay, Broxa has visa issues. They don't play with him for 4 weeks. They have Schernfire in. They look kind of middling. They had some apparent issues. And then people were like, okay, Broxa's going to get here, and then everyone's going to get reinvigorated. They're going to really kind of turn it on at that point, and then they'll get stronger for the rest of the split. And then, well, the world keeps on spinning, and it spun over to Doublelift. And Doublelift started having some strong words about how the spring split didn't matter. And that kind of hit him real hard in the face. And then he got sick. And then he got benched. And then they unbenched him for 1 game. And then the whole thing was on fire for the rest of the way down. And there was no saving it after that.
Yep, that about sums it up.
Yeah, that's about it. A hot tip for any coach who's listening: don't put your benched player in after 1 game. You would have thought TL would have learned after Dardoch. They didn't.
Also, please be there. I understand what they were doing was they had the coach and Jensen and Broxa together in Europe camping before the split started, before the visa issues. Make sure to be on top of those visa issues if you're going to do that boot camp, and also
That's not always on them though. Like
that
sometimes
wasn't. Yeah.
There's really nothing they could have done about that. Like you can tell them to be on top of it, but it's like, okay, well, what do they do, right? Like
They submit the application back while he was playing at Worlds.
yeah, like they were about as far ahead as they could have, but like it's just the way that the game. It's just how it goes sometimes.
I think they would have been better off had that visa failed and they had to drop Roxa.
perhaps and just works with Schernfire.
Well, Schernfire or somebody. I'm not sure what they would have done, but they probably would have tried to grab Acadian, and they might have ended up getting Acadian and screwing over. Who's he playing for? Dig, yes.
Yeah, and continuing, don't have Doublelift play with Pobelter as a jungler. I remember watching a Travis Gafford interview where Doublelift was basically like, "This is fine," and Pobelter was like, "I'm having a great time." Not the dynamic you want coming into the split.
What?
I have no idea what you just are even talking about.
You just said this is fine and I'm having a great time. I don't understand.
Those are
there
both
was
compatible.
There was a Travis Gafford interview where at the beginning of the split, before the split started,
Okay.
where there was a skepticism that Pobelter would have to come in as a jungler.
Yes,
where
because they couldn't get Schernfire's visa either.
Where Eugene was very happy and Doublelift looked like he wanted to, where he was smiling at the camera, just saying, "This is fine."
That was the whole split. Wait, hang on. That never stopped. That didn't stop when Pobelter stopped playing.
You're absolutely right. That didn't stop. But yeah, it did very much look like he had a gun to his head while smiling. That was it. It was not a good dynamic coming into the split.
I don't think anybody was like, "Yeah, this is fine. You should be happy about." Like nobody was saying that. It's just that.
Oh, absolutely not.
It's just, what are you gonna do, man? That's how this shit works. You got plenty of time to work with him. Just try to play your best right now. And then when Broxa showed up, he still didn't play his best. I feel like that was the turning point. If TL had just said, Doublelift's unmotivated. There are 4 weeks left in this split. Doublelift, sit the fuck down. We're gonna play tactical for the rest of the split, and you figure your shit out. We'll talk if we make playoffs. Mm-hmm. That's the move I think they have to make. And I've said that before. And I think given the result, of course, I could say, haha, see, this wasn't the right move. But at the same time, I feel like everyone who saw them put Doublelift back in is just like, this isn't how you bench a player. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
During the last weekend, I will give them that during this last weekend, they did look really good. Impact seemed to have his playoff buff
Well, okay, hang
before
on,
playoffs
wait.
started.
They look good against Cloud9. The other game was a big yikes.
Okay, that's fair.
Oh,
But,
they lost-
man.
TL disappoints me. So what do you guys think the fix is? What do you think we're doing during this like 5 or 6 weeks of off season? Actually, when does spring start back up? Is it like May 15th? Or summer? Sorry, summer. I think it's
I
May
don't know.
15th-ish, somewhere around there. So that's like 5 weeks. What do you guys think? What's the play? You finished on Sunday. You didn't make playoffs. What's your game plan as the head coach? Or Steve?
Blow it up.
Blow it up.
Blow it up.
Blow it
No,
up.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I wish I had the courage to recommend that, but
I mean, hey, I think Dignitas Academy could have finished better than 9th.
ooh, that's heavy.
Is it?
That's,
What's heavier, CLG or TL? Oh,
This man's going in, boys. Somebody stop him.
all I do is go in, especially when the 4-time champion is 9th place. The first time a returning champion has missed playoffs. Oh,
yeah.
how dare they besmirch that name?
What name?
Of LCS champion.
LCS champion.
What are you looking up?
Me? Nothing.
Okay.
I accidentally closed the notes. I was control T'ing to open them back up.
All right.
Or control shift
All right.
T'ing.
So here's my game plan for TL. Step 1 is you take a break. You don't play for 2 weeks, mostly because I don't think it's gonna matter for a while. I don't know what's gonna happen with the mid-season changes, so we'll see. Let's see if they actually do them this year because other problems. Ooh, excuse me. And then I think you start like a slow boot camp, maybe. I shouldn't say boot camp. Like you start a slow restart of practice between your academy and your main roster, and just to kind of get back in the groove of things and kind of feel it out. You do some other I can't even do some random ass team building shit. You can't like go to the arcade. You can't go out to dinner once a week. Like, man, I'm handcuffed. I can't fix this team. Never mind. You take a 2-week break minimum. That's it.
It's very hard to point out what the problem is with this team.
I don't. Well,
Because
I don't think it's hard to point out what the problem is. I think it's hard to point out where the good part is.
So,
Brutality.
I don't think Brox has had that much of an opportunity to try to prove himself this split. I do think you might still keep him. I don't know if you do actually commit to trying it. I have no clue. Because Impact, like I said, did look good in his last game. Broxa, even though he has just the last game, but Broxa hasn't had that early game impact that I wanted him to have. He has certainly been picking early game champions. He was probably the one who inspired the Elise pick when he first came back, even though
everyone's picking Elise.
The particular game in which they gave over the 2 best tanks versus EG and picked Elise instead against. That's the game that I'm referencing.
Right. That thing. Oh my god.
That's what I'm referencing, right? But I assume he thought there was some way that he could just play through the early game and just win, and it didn't happen, right? His early game didn't have any impact. He wasn't ganking. He wasn't It didn't come up until like mid game when they finally got that pick on Jizuke. Jensen, I haven't had anything particularly bad or particularly good. There's been moments where it's been there have been tense moments setting up for team fights, jockeying for vision, where he has gotten picked off. Not just in a flash, in moments that you couldn't really expect. But otherwise, he's still been a very good mid laner. He has been trying to like pull them through. I don't know what the weak point is for this team. Therefore, I can't really say, oh, if this is the weak point, this is what we do to get around it, and this is what we do to fix it. I do think that taking a break is probably the best idea, and trying to reconvene, hopefully, with a much better either perspective on the game, some way of actually keeping them together. But I'm not sure. Hopefully, Broxa doesn't just burn out from the split, because the reason that he wanted to go to NA in the first place and left Fnatic was because the team was segmented, where it felt like there were these clubs in between. Hopefully, like I said, this experience doesn't burn him out from this split, and I think just give it a run back.
You want to wait? Oh, okay, you want to give the team a run back? I thought you. I was confused for a second. Never mind. I think I still would be super pissed off at Double Lift.
Absolutely.
You're always mad at Double.
I think the main problem with this team is either on Double Lift or the coaching staff, because right now they seem to be adversaries and not cooperative units. So I don't really know how they're gonna fix that. So,
and even if
the quickest way to fix it is to swap one of them out. And I don't. Number one, nobody can come to the country. No one can come to any country really at the moment. Correct. So, any coaching is going to be remote. I guess it'd be remote anyways. So it might actually not be a big deal. But any coaching is going to be pretty remote. And if you get a foreign coach, you're going to have other translation issues. I'm pretty sure Kane has probably worked on his English quite a bit. But I don't. I don't think I've ever been this disappointed in a team's performance that wasn't TSM.
I don't think I've ever been this confused by a team's performance.
Oh, I have. I've seen C9 go from 10th to semifinals at Worlds. That confused the fuck out of me.
Excellent. You're welcome, boys. You're absolutely and utterly in there anyway.
No, Matt, what's your diagnosis? What do you think the change needs to be made, if any? Whether it's in some kind of stylistic change or if it's in some kind of personnel change?
Dude, I have no idea, because I have no idea what even went wrong. Maybe it really was motivation, and come summer split, Double Lift will be like, sick, now it matters, and it'll go like crazy as hell again.
Or can he beat Sven?
Not.
Is he gonna beat
I thought we were talking about TL.
We are.
Yeah, we're still talking about TL, but he's
Wait, then why'd you ask me about Sven?
He's asking if Double Lift can. Yeah. Can he actually like help?
Yeah,
yes.
Like, is he actually going to be better than Cody-san, Sven, Kabe? Who else?
He's probably going to be better than some of those, or could be. I think it. I mean, I was just being really speculative, and that was all if he actually turns it back on, right? Like, I have no idea if he's going to.
Yeah.
I have no idea, right? Because I personally, from watching their games, struggled to figure out what was actually wrong. You know?
I feel like I saw it was mostly around their bot lane and their top lane for the most part. Broxa, like I feel like I'm blind to any jungle issues because of how I don't want to say traumatic, how much like upheaval there has been in that role for that team specifically, whereas every other role should have been fine. They're the same from last year. They should know what they're doing. Like, either Smithy was such a unifying voice on this team and he kept everyone in the game, or Doublelift has just sucked all of the life out of this team and Impact underperformed, and that caused a gigantic like chasm for this team to fall into.
Yeah. I mean, it was really difficult watching it. Like, I literally could not be like, "Uh-oh, like what's happening?
It's
What are you
like
guys doing?"
Keith and Hoohee. Who the fuck are these people, and why are they on this team? What?
Apparently, who he's making it back. All right, no, never mind.
I will never understand that trade, but whatever.
You don't have to. It's not for you to understand, you mere mortal.
Mere mortal, he called.
We on some Psycho Realm business, boys.
That is how they do it.
Alright.
GG. They've.
Let's move on to talk about CLG for a little bit. CLG coming in 10th place, quite contrary to a lot of people's expectations of this team, coming in with Crown as their mid laner, seeming as a massive upgrade over Power of Evil, and then Crown just left.
Well,
Yep.
So what do we think about that? For context, Crown is now playing on, I think, a challenger team in Korea, or maybe the step below challenger in Korea. I am not sure.
Maybe he joined up with Lyra.
I don't think so.
Okay.
So that's
Well,
Vietnam.
that's different. That's different.
Or no.
That's different. Okay. I
have no idea. I don't remember. I can't keep these players straight. There's too many.
No, Lyra was Dignitas's former jungler who wanted to create a challenger team in Korea.
I don't.
No,
TDK.
Dignitas's CG's.
Lyra was on CG.
Jungler last split and left
Levi
to go.
Levi was on Heart of Thieves. That's right. I keep getting those two confused.
That's on you.
I mean, their names Levi and now I don't even remember the other name. I can't.
Lyra.
See, Levi and Lyra. Like what?
Cool fucking. How, dude? You
memory of a goldfish.
Okay.
So CLG, after they got Pobelter, seemed to kind of pick up quite a bit, to be honest. They looked like a much more competitive team once they dropped Crown, because with Crown they looked like they had no idea how to play this game. They were just like, take TL and their problems and then add 20 more, and it just looked like a more disorganized version of TL at that. Like, that's what I'm seeing. But then Pobelter brought them together a little bit, and to be honest, I think they were playing better than TL. They might not have as strong individual pieces, but they played as a better team than TL, and it showed because they beat them. So, okay, Pobelter beat them.
Pobelter did. He did kill 3 of them behind a dragon pit.
Pobelter decided the game's over and I'm ending it. Everyone go the fuck home.
Yep.
So what's our take on CLG and their outlook towards summer?
I'm thinking that if they can keep this momentum going, it would be good for them. I'm not confident they can. I think the team needs more than just Pobelter. I think they should probably do a little bit of rebuilding or reconsidering some of the other positions. But I think Pobelter really showed what he was capable of and showed what the team could do with like solid leadership, solid mid lane. And I think that's probably, I think this is a really good first step for this team to begin the rebuilding process. And I think that it has, they've got some potential. Does that make sense?
I do like how they were performing in the last few games. Pobelter definitely brought them back together, brought them back on track. Ruin didn't look as lost as he was in the beginning of the split, right? Wiggly wasn't making as many mistakes as he did in his first few games.
You're lagging out. What?
Okay.
This quarantine internet is crazy out here.
I know.
This is happening before the quarantine.
Sometimes your words can't make it through. But I'm hoping that I don't have extremely high expectations of them right now. If they do get back to at least a middling performance next split, I'll be happier. I just don't think that this team as is has a particularly high ceiling compared to what C9 has shown us that like a new competitive roster can do
I'm
together.
sure, but we don't have to compare them to Cloud9.
That's true, but even if we compare,
Yeah, honestly, that's like
you're right. That's a bit of an
why would you
extreme
do that to
comparison.
them?
It's like, hey, you're not Cloud9. Go home. What?
So every team other than Cloud9 right now.
Every team is 7 wins
Basically.
behind these motherfuckers. Like,
Yeah. But no,
Okay.
they should all go home, man.
They should all go home.
we're just sending Cloud9 to Worlds and only Cloud9 because no one else is worth sending. That's it.
Well, if we give them a fair comparison
That's just
to
MSI Haymont.
to a team that's been up there, for example, who's like on the up and up right now, like
I mean, people were talking about IMT. Probably 100 Thieves and
100
Guardians. Those are the
Thieves,
teams I would be looking at to compare them to.
I would say 100 Thieves would probably be the one that would be most comparable to them. Even though they do have a better mid, and
Wait, who has the better mid laner?
don't
Don't you say the words.
I said CLG has the better mid
Okay,
laner.
okay.
But he is basically the one person in the carry role keeping them together. Someday has been the one for 100 Thieves, which has in every game been performing. I would still say that 100 Thieves next split would still probably be better than CLG. Which is a hard thing.
I would say
to
that
say.
too. I think, like, Smoothie was looking good on TSM last year. I don't really know why Smoothie's look so subpar this year. And then you have, like, Stixay that they keep swapping out. Who's their other AD carry that they keep swapping him out with? Wind?
Wind?
Yeah,
I want to say.
So I'm kind of confused as to what CLG, like where they think their strengths are, and like how they expect to grow. A lot of people have been kind of coming down on Ruin. He hasn't looked as good as he did last year for me, and a lot of people didn't like how he looked last year, and I kind of disagree. I thought Ruin looked like he was going to be a pretty competitive laner coming into this split. That's kind of why I had CLG rated as highly as I did. I think two things kind of killed this team. Number one was Crown kind of destroying the atmosphere and leaving. It appears that Crown had some sort of personal issues this split, and that's what led to his awful that was led to his awful performance and like the team's general awful atmosphere. So looking at that, taking that out, if they had run Pro Belter the whole time, who knows what they could have got if they had prepared ahead of time. But the second thing seems to be some problem with their shot calling and their bot lane, because that's what they keep switching out, and I just don't feel like it changed anything and made or like I feel like it was such a lateral move that I don't. Like, they have to know something I don't as to why Wind would go in. Wind's Korean as far as... Like, I don't really see why we're putting in Wind here. Like, I guess he has better communication with Ruin. I'm pretty sure Pobelter speaks Korean. I think that was Pobelter's
Pobelter does speak Korean. Yes, when he was back on Immortals, when he was working with Huni and Rainover, the most important thing was that he could also speak Korean and communicate with them.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
I just don't understand why we're putting this guy in. Like I never heard of him until this split, and apparently he didn't start playing until like 2018. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It just seems like such a question mark. Is it the coaching staff? Do we need to change the coaching staff? Because they're dead last.
That's true. Song hasn't really. His last split was on Echo Fox, and it didn't have such a great turnout either. He hasn't had any particularly good splits since the Immortals days before they got taken out of the league. And
he was on TSM last year. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, that was Zix last year. The year before it was Song.
Yes. So.
they
It could be a
they have
coach.
Weldon, and a lot of people like to shit on Weldon for his psychology approach to a lot of things, and like his sort of mental focus on the game instead of focusing on actual gameplay. But I don't know what Weldon is bringing to this organization. He's locked in for a while, I'm pretty sure, because he's head of player development.
Mhm.
So that means he's working on developing new players and future prospects. So I just don't know how you fix this last place team who completely destroyed themselves with their provision or with their they destroyed themselves with roster moves that everyone agreed were going to be a bonus, that they were going to be a giant plus onto this team, and this team that had been competitive for playoffs was probably going to be shooting for a world spot this year.
Okay, I do want to say, like I said, I have better expectations of them next split. But I think that Irene was a major driving force for them last split. He was the one who did the play-by-play. He was the one who did the analysis for the team with Weldon, keeping their mental together, right? Which is why they had such a good split. But with Irene gone, with Song taking over, it seems that either some of Song's analysis or how he goes about the game might not be as on point as we think it is at this junction. I don't want to specifically say that Song is currently the problem, but it's not
So
looking that great.
all right, so let's
Also, Ruin, like you said before, it does seem to be underperforming a lot more compared to his last split, right? At the beginning, like it could have been communication issues, and like team atmosphere, but later on he did have lackluster performances as well that you couldn't really contribute to team atmospheres as soon as Pobelter came along.
okay. Let's move on to talking about Dig and IMT real quick. I personally don't have much to say about these teams because I feel like they're kind of borderline playoff. They literally had a tiebreaker for 6th place spot, so they are definitively a borderline playoff team.
Yeah.
And looking at these two rosters, I think Dignitas is the one where player change could be like a viable option, because they have a lot of LCS players on their academy squad. Like Dignitas Academy is basically the 11th LCS team.
Yes.
So that means that they have room to move those players around for free without having to do anything, basically. Now the other thing that this team could do is they could trade some of these players around. I'm pretty sure a lot of teams are going to be talking about Demonte. If Immortals are not trying to get Demonte to play for them, they're high.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Or who was it? Yasui maybe? Because what are we doing with Ica? Oh my god, what are we doing with Ica?
What do you think about Johnson coming?
Johnson coming? He feels mediocre to me. He feels like, I don't know, maybe he's a little better than FBI, but not by that much, and he's not like, he feels shaky to me compared to a lot of the other AD carries. Like, he doesn't have super consistent, strong performances like we've seen out of Sven or in past Double Lift.
Okay.
Or Sneaky. Oh, that's the other question. So who's grabbing Sneaky? We could talk about that actually later.
That could be part of the after the losers we could do, like who's going where.
So we could talk. We can just talk about Sneaky specifically after these two.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
what were you going to ask me, Anthony? Because you had a specific question for me, but
it wasn't specific. It was just what's your take on Dig and INT and how close they came to getting into playoffs.
I think they should be hopeful, right? Like it was close, and I think with a few minor tweaks, or a little more. I mean, honestly, like I think when you're that close, you have a legitimate reason to consider not making changes, right? Because making changes requires further upgrades or further practice together, new teams trying new things out, especially with what might be a limited break in between or limited practice time thereafter. So I think it's a legitimate consideration when you're that close to say, maybe we just stick with this team, really focus on our synergy, look at where we went wrong, and really work these things out, or really try to work these things out. Because I always think it's a little bit of a really big risk when you end up trying to get a new player or replacing a player, because you have to rebuild some synergies, rebuild some communications, teach things again, which is not necessary if you're just like where you already are, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's good advice for every team. I think it's really only good advice for teams who are just kind of on the cusp.
So, I feel like this is the time where I need to point out that Dignitas spent like $2.5 million over 2 years for Huni, and they didn't even make playoffs.
Whoa.
Like this has to be the second team that I'm just like, how the fuck do you not make playoffs? Like what are you doing? How can you spend this much money and still not make playoffs? Like, I don't get it. I'm gonna keep agreeing with Monty, and that contracts should probably change so that you get like your full contract payout is based on bonuses of getting into or winning playoffs or getting to worlds. Like, that's how you structure their contracts.
Mm-hmm. I think that's probably a good idea.
It would definitely add a bit more incentive to it.
Yeah, it would make Spring Split matter. So at the same time, I'm just like, these kids don't fucking give a shit about how much money they're making like that. They just want to see a big number on the paper. Like, once they sign the contract, I feel like any sort of motivation that contract may or may not have given them that isn't, if you don't do your job right, you're fired. I feel like it's gone, and they don't really care about the result.
I don't know. That doesn't happen in other sports, though. Not
Does
usually,
it?
anyway. I mean, dude, like, let's be honest, right? Like, there are a lot of pros in like the NBA. I mean, a lot of pros are, and all sports are not playing right now, right? But like, if we ignore the fact that there are other reasons that people aren't playing, then coronavirus. Then I think you see that a lot of big names who are getting fat fucking contracts still generally try. There are notable exceptions, right? There are players who fall off when they get the big bag. There are players who allegedly like refuse to play or like lie about the extended injury or something, but like other than that, you basically see like when you've got like, I mean, he's injured all the time now, but when you had a season or two ago Steph Curry making some of the most money in the NBA, you also saw Steph Curry leading scorer or second scorer every night when he wasn't injured. You see Steph Curry leading the team. You see Steph Curry giving 100% every night. You see LeBron James getting the bag, Anthony Davis getting the bag, and you see them trying their fucking ass off, right? Like, there are a lot of players in other sports who, like, even when they're making big ass money, still go, right? So I don't think saying like, oh, we're going to pay you less, right? We're going to make contracts smaller is the way to solve that. I think the motivation might be a different problem, right?
Yes.
Like, I just don't think that that's the vibe there. It doesn't make sense to me to do that.
Well, like, one of the things is I don't feel like the gameplay of these players is motivated by the money they get to play. I feel like basically no player in the LCS will play better if I paid him more money.
No, but I also don't think they would play better if you paid them less money.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's take about.
So, like, if the issue is what we should be doing about contracts, and then you're like, the only solution is one that if you do it, it doesn't change anything, and if you do the other thing, it doesn't change anything, and if you do the current thing, it doesn't change anything, then I think that that's probably not the thing that's the problem, right? Like, there just might be some other motivational error or issue.
I think
Yeah,
if
I'm gonna be honest. I do think Riot changing the split structure really did hurt motivation. I know you're on the whole like, oh, it still matters. Like, you still have to give a shit, but like, given Riot's changes, I do think it's understandable why that shift has happened. Whether or not it should have is another matter,
But champion points have almost never mattered for the it doesn't matter for the majority of the teams. Most of the teams don't get to go to
but you could at least make the argument that like, all right, like if we're in a tight spot, then like yeah, it's gonna matter, right? Like
Yeah, it worked real good for FlyQuest last year.
I don't even remember what happened to them.
They got like
went
third
from
or
first
fourth.
to 10th.
No, that's not what happened. Last
Okay,
year
all right.
they got like fourth or third in playoffs in spring, and it automatically seeded them into last place of the bracket for Gauntlet. So they got to play out the Gauntlet.
Huh.
But they just lost. I think it happened to C9 too. C9 got second place, got I think last or second to last in the Gauntlet, and had to play every Gauntlet match to get to Worlds from 7th place in summer. There are two kinds of C9: the 10th place to semifinals at Worlds, and the 7th place to Worlds.
True.
Both of them are entertaining. I'll give you that.
Of course they are, because they're Chads only.
Hey, that's a little contract talk. Do you want to talk about C9 if you want to keep talking about contracts? Not C9, sorry, Sneaky.
I'm not even gonna say. I was like, Contracts hasn't been on the team in quite a long time. Like, I don't understand, but
Is he on Dig Academy? I don't know. No,
I don't know. I hope
that's
he's actually
Acadian.
doing
He's not on the academy team for Dig. All right, Sneaky. Who do we think needs Sneaky? Who's gonna be gunning to try to pick up Sneaky in this?
anyone who
offseason?
doesn't have a top 4 to 5 AD carry.
All right, so I'm gonna say 100 Thieves probably not. Cloud9 fuck no. CLG, they're definitely thinking about it. Dignitas 100%. I'm gunning for Sneaky. If I'm Dig, I'm going for Sneaky with everything I got.
Now, do they bench Sven for Sneaky? No, I'm kidding. Bring it back. Bring it back in the end.
Seemed like a no. FlyQuest probably a no. Wild Turtles too ingrained.
Yeah.
GG probably. I don't know if they have the money to do that. I don't know about Immortals. Immortals seem like, I don't know. Maybe people were talking like Immortals might go for tactical. That's the other question: is are people gonna go for tactical?
They might. I mean, he played well the little bit of time he did play, but
there's no way that TSM are gonna go for Sneaky. But here's the question: does TL try to pick up Sneaky?
That would be so crazy.
Team Liquid Sneaky making the big bucks once again.
So here's my number one reason why I think TL won't pick up Sneaky. There ain't no fucking way they drop Double Lift and pick up Sneaky, because Sneaky wouldn't agree to that.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if they drop DL though,
well, they're not dropping.
I mean, like, the
what
honest
dumbass
answer,
is gonna drop Double Lift, huh? Who fucking moron drops Double Lift?
But honestly, like, it's one thing to drop Double Lift and Biofrost after they had like one of the best bot lane seasons in fucking history. It's another thing when Double Lift seemed unmotivated, was not playing up to snuff. It's more conceivable that Double Lift, when he finishes 9th, especially because of how vocal he was and what seems to be tension with him and other players, it's much more conceivable he gets dropped or like traded or something happens there, right? Like, I agree with you, and I think you know this, that after, I would not have called the BioLift trade or drop. I never would have. I would not be shocked if Double Lift was off TL, either because he wanted to be or because the team wanted him to be after this split.
That's interesting.
That's a very fair point.
Well, I mean, it looks like all he had was issues with the team. It looked like all he had was conflict and disagreement, and it looked like there wasn't any good way, it wasn't a lot of good fits, and there was a lot of tension. I don't know. Fuck it. I don't know. Get on my fucking face. Why? Who?
All right.
Why are you talking to me about double, you little bitch?
Because we're talking about Sneaky, and if Sneaky can replace double.
I know.
But yeah, I think the two teams that are most interested, or sorry, three teams that are most interested in Sneaky are CLG, Dignitas, and Team Liquid. Do you guys agree that's an accurate assessment?
Say it again.
CLG, Dignitas, and Team Liquid are the three teams that would probably be looking at grabbing Sneaky. And they're all out of playoffs. They can all grab him this week.
True.
All right, true. I want to say I think Johnson has been looking pretty alright this entire split. He's had some very high impact games. He's had some pretty low impact games, but I don't think he's been much of a problem for this team, especially considering that this was his first split.
I think he needs more time. I think that's the number one thing.
I think he can definitely do a lot of good work as an AD carry. I do think they need to figure out the shot calling issues that happened between that game. I do think they need to address that Hooney hasn't really been, in the last few weeks, been performing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the major issues that need to be dried out, whether it's between like Afromoo and Froggen with the shot calling, whether it's Hooney underperforming is a definite problem that needs to be figured out, and the trade between switching between Acadian and Greg, like who's going to be that actual jungler? Like the TSM problem wound up on Dignitas now, right?
I don't.
So,
who takes both of them? What dumbass took both of them?
Yeah.
Let's just take one. This isn't a fucking 2-for-1 sale.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, there were games that I was watching this week with Afromoo where he was on Nautilus initiating on basically pulling a one-man initiation with no carry behind him, which did not look good. Right. That's one of the major issues that need to be addressed. That's what I'm a bit more disappointed in.
So, shall we take a look at our power rankings from this split? Take a little look-see?
Sure.
No.
I'm
scared.
I'm sorry, I'm blind. What's on my screen?
Ignorant.
ignorant. All right.
I'm ignorant, dog. What do you know about me?
All right, Haymont. Time to fess up. How the fuck can you put TL and CLG first and second?
Hey. Which two other people put TL first as well? All right.
I mean two. That's everyone. Every single power ranking had TL first. But I'm asking you. You're Mr. Saying... CLG is second. How the fuck? You believed in the fucking second best genie meme before it was written.
I hands down believed that Crown was a major upgrade and Song would be, while tentatively, like an improvement on this team. And that there would be synergy between Ruin and Crown. What I did not expect was for Crown to basically implode halfway through the split.
C9 and TSM.
I drastically misput C9.
Yes.
I have C9 as 7th within these rankings. That is not what happened.
Drastic is a fair... fair way to put that.
That was very heavily misplaced on my point. That's me all day. I'll own it. Okay.
So I'm glad that my predictions are a bit closer than I felt like they were going to look at the beginning of the split. FlyQuest really fell down there, but damn, they've really showed me that they can actually play the game a little bit. I honestly thought that team was going to be straight garbage.
Mm-hmm. Bringing up FlyQuest, what do you think of? Who do you think's better on them? Viper or Solo?
Viper, without even trying. Don't know why they made that trade. Massive question mark for me. I don't know why the fuck Solo's playing.
I know.
Awful with Solo. I don't get it.
The solo game, what I think is that he knows how to play out his lane better. That's the thing. Like Santorin made those early ganks top lane to solo and was able to get a lead, not in the O2 week. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is in the FlyQuest versus TL game. He was able to get those early ganks to really punish Impact and force him back. But
I don't. Solo
in
doesn't
the
feel like
mid,
he's ready. Well, I shouldn't say I don't feel like he's ready. I don't feel like Solo's a playoff caliber top laner. Maybe CLG could pick up Solo, but
Hey,
Or-
I
or-
predicted EG. I forgot about that.
hey, I
yeah, Matt got
predicted-
EG right.
Y'all were fucking cowards, and you didn't have any faith in the homies, which was warranted until about 3 weeks ago.
I had them third, Matt. What?
Well,
Oh,
okay,
did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
All
shit,
right.
you're right.
I got
But I
100 right.
predicted the spot.
All right, I also got 100 on the spot.
Okay. I still don't
That's-
think that's exactly where they belong, but yeah. The record, their placement doesn't totally lie.
Also misappropriated IMT.
Misappropriated? Misplaced.
Misplaced.
I mean, yeah, I had them out of playoffs at least. I had CLG much higher because I thought that Crown was going to be a pretty strong upgrade, but I felt like everyone above them upgraded harder. And then your crazy ass puts them second, and then TL shits the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently they grabbed CLG with them on the way down.
Yep. In other news, in good news for me, FlyQuest has been looking very good this entire split with Power of Evil and Ignarin.
I will straight up blame CLG and TL for destroying my power rankings. Because they basically just put Dig, FlyQuest, and GG up 2 more slots because of how fucking garbage they were. If that didn't happen, Dig, GG, and FlyQuest are all like 1 spot away from the bottom 3. Like, that's it. That's how far off I was. I'm sorry, all of us were. So thank you, TL and CLG, for ruining my power rankings.
Oh man.
So yeah, that's
Not
Let me look
as
at
accurate
the
as I'd
average.
hoped. That's all. So hopefully next split we have some better ones and a bit more consistent games. I want to say consistent games.
I want more like predictable. Yeah, I want more predictable games. I want there to be more like, okay, this is my first team, this is my second team, this is my third team, and then you can improve from there. Because when you're like, all right, you got C9, and you got everybody else, and then it's just like, how do you fix that? How do you improve that? You don't. You don't. You can't. It's just such a massive weird shit that you can't form it into anything, and it just keeps falling apart.
Oh, I also want to say it's very great. It's amazing that TSM had, I believe they went 2-0 in the weekend they went against C9.
Yes, they
Am
beat
I
C9
correct?
and FlyQuest that weekend, and everyone's
And
like, "This is the second best team," and then they went 1-3 the rest of the split.
For the exact same reason. Do you remember earlier in the split when you decided to pick GG over TSM?
Because I called them shitting the bed. Yeah.
This was the moment. This was the week in which you had the most faith, Anthony. You should have known.
What?
You should have known
What
this
should
would
I
have
have
been
known?
that this would be the time when they would shit the bed
I'm
and
confused.
go.
You mean at the end of the
They
split?
went, yes, 0-2 right after they beat C9. Right after.
Sure.
This was the time.
Why are we talking about our picks?
I don't know what he's doing.
I don't know where you're going with this, Hamo. We're talking about power rankings.
I know. I just wanted to bring that up. That's it. All right. But
All right.
otherwise, I think I had TSM placing 4th. Anthony had TSM placing 2nd.
Yeah, you gotta have some faith in the homies.
Okay, that's fair. I can't blame you.
I think I said that EG and C9 were gonna have a harder time putting themselves together. because C9 just looked like they came off of a real bad breakup, but it turns out they came out of a really bad relationship and cleaned up their lives.
True.
Uh,
Dude, I got no idea. This split was kind of wild as fuck.
wild ride. TL finished 9th. Gotta just keep saying that because otherwise, I still don't fucking believe it.
Chaos theory.
All right.
That's all.
All right. So we're coming into this. Who are our MVP and coach of the split? I'm gonna start off with my coach of the split, Coach Kane. Coach Kane coming in hot, dragging down TL to that 9th place spot. That's what I want. I pick my coaches by entertainment value, by the way.
Okay.
So
Right.
that's my coach of the split. What's your guys' coach of the split?
Oh, Kane. No.
Come on, Matt. You gotta know who you're about to bring up.
Who's TSM's coach?
Peter
like
Zhang.
that.
I just like whoever keeps TSM out of playoffs.
Yes, he's in playoffs.
Sorry, I like whoever keeps TSM out of top 3. Whatever. You may ask. It was probably Reaper.
You going for Reaper? Yeah.
Are you kidding me, bro? Like I wouldn't have if I did not think I was going to, but just seeing the performance
And the variety.
The ability to change styles and keep their head on their shoulders, the ability to basically like keep their heads in the game even when they looked like they were a little bit behind at times or like it was a little bit even. They were always able to keep their heads in it. I literally just don't understand how it can be anybody but Reaper right now because he coached this team into oblivion, but like in a good way.
He coached this team into
I just feel
godliness.
I feel like every other coach is just so far below Reaper because all the teams are so fucking hectic and nobody made like a crazy good climb or a lot of improvement from their previous position or from what people expected. Really, I guess you could say that about FlyQuest, but they've also like they had a giant slump at the end of the split. Like they weren't looking too hot towards the end, so I don't know how you could really say that ThinkCard could be worthy of coach of the split. If they finished second, yeah, I'd be like, yeah, it's probably ThinkCard right now. FlyQuest came in with everyone being like dead team, but they showed up. But it's Reaper. It's fucking Reaper. Everyone knows it's fucking Reaper.
Oh, absolutely. It's also Curry was the coach for FlyQuest.
Who's ThinkCard for?
ThinkCard I think is for Dignitas, and
looking
Inero is for GG.
Oh,
you're
right. I'm sorry.
Gotta give it to. Always gonna give it to Reaper, but honorable mention Zabutine. God.
Can I give worst coach of the split to Zabutine for that stupid fucking roster?
I don't. You have to have clear priorities in a game on what your win and loss conditions are.
French solo laners! Aika!
Aika! But watching the Dignitas versus Immortals games, I was very confused about how a team with Ocean Soul is felt, and also 12-5 feels the need to send their AD carry to split push, instead of trying to set up a continual poke or something that's not sending.
Hey, Mom, we're talking about coach of the split here. What are you doing?
I'm still very lost about this, and I'm meandering through it because if you're the coach for that team who has an Ocean Soul
so
and is 12-5,
you need to say much more.
I needed to elaborate just a bit more on that. That's a very bad.
Alright, so we all agree coach of the split is Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
Who is everyone's MVP? Matt, you want to go first since it's probably on your team?
It's Sven.
You're proving it to Sven?
Why do you sound surprised by that?
Just because there's two other options.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably am just because of the insane early gameplay or early split play where he was like, literally a god.
Yep. Unkillable for like 4.5 weeks. It was quite the run. I enjoyed watching it. It was fun to watch. I forget if it was FlyQuest or Dignitas who ended his deathless streak. One of the reasons why I actually became a TSM fan is because I found out that Xpecial hadn't died in 3 games and like 72
That's why I
minutes
became a
of
C9 fan,
gameplay time.
because in the promotional tournament, Meteos didn't die.
Well,
Clearly, we like KDA players.
Not on my team, though.
and I'm a FlyQuest fan because
Sucks
I'm
for you, bro.
Season 5 TSM.
No, because you liked Wild Turtle. That's the answer. I liked Wild Turtle too. I just liked winning more.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Who's yours, hey, Matt?
I'm going to give it to Blabber because I didn't expect him to perform this well. There were times that I looked at his gameplay and just his micro decisions where he knew, oh, I'm going to be engaged on, and just predicted like a proper Gragas barrel and stuff like that in the heat of the moment, right? And he was one of the players that I thought would be the fault of this team. That would be their unbecoming. His performance has been that would would make this team that low in the rankings that I placed them in, and he's been delightfully doing well, right? That's why I want to give him MVP, just because of how well he has been playing, how aggressive he's been able to keep that up-tempo play style. He has been able to fight back kills, and he has been able to micro very well. That's been one of the reasons.
So, I was wondering if we would actually have this happen. Apparently we did. I was going to pick Nisky. Because Nisky has been looking crazy. He's played, like, he's been playing into whatever play style that C9 was trying to play. He's been carrying games where he could and needed to. And he's just looked like a monster in the mid lane. And to be honest, I don't think that you can give... I don't feel like you can give the jungler for Nisky MVP twice in a row before you give Nisky the MVP.
But you can give it to the AD carry who played out of his absolute mind.
I just feel like Nisky was doing great during that time too, and I don't feel like there's been a time where I'm like, Nisky, what the fuck are you doing? Mind you, Sven, I had a couple of questions for him during that TL game when he fucking ate shit 3 times.
Fair.
But yeah, I don't think there's much more to talk about with the MVPs there. Oh, we could talk about who's rookie of the split, but does anyone a fucking rookie that isn't Ica or Ryoma? I don't even think Ryoma counts. Johnson.
Johnson, yes.
Johnson wins it by default.
Johnson.
Johnson wins it by default.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's it. Unless you want to count Huhi and Keith as the first split as a support. Everyone else has played before. You can count Churnfire, I think. Churnfire has 4 games.
It's Johnson.
Probably Johnson. You're not wrong.
I thought you just said it was Jensen, and I was like, what?
Yeah, he's the rookie.
Jensen, the newest. You never saw him before in your life, dog.
Can you see why I was
TL
confused?
never happened. I can
see
totally
why I
understand.
was confused.
Yes, dog. All right.
Hey. Let's move on to the preview of the playoff brackets. Alright. So, everyone seems to agree that C9 is going to demolish 100 Thieves, but a little bit of a disagreement over here around the EG game. Hey, Mom, why do you think FlyQuest is going to win?
Like I said, I do love how Santorin, Ignar, and Power of Evil have been performing together, right? And even though EG in recent weeks have been picking it up with, they still haven't had like extremely monstrous games that would turn to and be like, oh, they were considerably dominating. Actually, no, I lied. There was the EG versus TL game where they were considerably dominating. But in the tiebreakers against 100 Thieves, Jizuke was running around a little bit. Uh, it was very weird. It looked like 100 Thieves had that until things started going awry. Um, that's why I think that perhaps FlyQuest do have a bit of a chance. I do honestly I'm not sure whether I'd prefer having Solo or Viper in the top lane, because I did see Santorin make a couple early games plays towards Solo, so I'm a bit biased towards that. But I think that the core of Power Evil, Santorin, and Ignar could handle this team, especially in a best of 5 series.
I think you're just straight wrong because I think Jizuke, Svenskar, and I think they have them beat on almost every lane. I don't see a world in which EG lose this. It seems like such an open and shut game. FlyQuest might be able to take one game off them if they give Viper Riven. I think that's like the only way they're gonna win. But they don't. It doesn't. I feel like Kumo can keep up with Viper and Solo. It doesn't.
I don't think they have anyone who can. I don't think they have anyone who can beat Kumo.
Matchup for
Or
matchup.
who can like convincingly like just smash Kumo into the ground to the point where he's a non-issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only way I think FlyQuest win is through champion select, and I think that's where they get their 1-1. That's it. That's it. So Matt, where do you think they're getting that second win?
Just because I think it's kind of tight, and I think that desperate times call for desperate measures, and they pull out the crazy fucking plays, boys. You know, like, legit. I think it's probably just because I was anxious about having called my. This is the first time we've ever done the podcast where I've called the 3-0, which you'll see soon. So I've been sort of making up for it. You know, a little overcompensating.
Oh,
but...
right. You like to hedge your bets.
Oh, yeah.
You're a fucking coward. That's where the fucking coward meme started.
Well,
okay.
You know, eat my ass, I guess. But
I think the only reason why I could reason why FlyQuest have been running solo is to prepare for this matchup. I think this is not the matchup specifically, but prepare for playoffs and be able to swap out Solo and Viper depending on what they want to go for, maybe. But I never feel like these work unless you're like really really good and you like have some very prepared stuff. And I don't think that FlyQuest are gonna have something prepared enough that Viper shouldn't be able to play anyways. And if you're switching, like, okay, Viper plays Riven, Fiora, and Renekton. I don't know. This is just an example, not actual champion pools. And Solo plays Aatrox, Ornn, and Maokai. Okay, I just swap my bans. Doesn't matter. I always said if you could swap players after you lock in champions, it would be more interesting. The only caveat is that then you have one tricks on your team and you just like, well, they gave my one trick his one trick champion, throw in the one trick, the game's over. Like,
yeah,
that's the only problem with it. Alright. Paymont is the only other detractor in the C9 series as well. How the fuck do 100 Thieves take that one game and make these gods bleed like TSM did?
Strictly through drafting. That's what I'm seeing. Drafting. Wait. What? That's
against C9, the team that hasn't particularly lost draft that much and has won with basically whatever the fuck they were given.
Yes, but also because I do believe Someday is still a very great top laner. I think that maybe they'll be able to cheese one game. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm hoping to see. I don't want it to be a fully shut out series, right? That's what I'm hoping for.
I'm hoping
But
for a quick 3.
it might just be a 3-0.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want it, but I'm prepared for it.
I just think it's gonna happen. I don't feel like I can justly say C9 are not about to just stomp everyone in these playoffs. I think if C9 don't, like, if they continue to not drop a game, I will continue to call 3-0s with them every single time. There's not a team that they should be afraid of right now. I think the only team that they would have been afraid of is TSM, and they're in the lower bracket. They don't have to play them till finals if they win out. But I will die fucking laughing if C9 lose and have to play TSM and fucking losers.
My God.
It'll be the best. It'll be hilarious. Matt will never live it down. It doesn't matter if he wins that match.
That's true.
The fact that 100 Thieves would have been the one to put C9 down would be very confusing.
So there's a bit of a conspiracy that C9 have picked 100 Thieves because when C9 wins, 100 Thieves goes directly to face TSM.
Why is that a conspiracy?
Because 100 Thieves, apparently they want 100 Thieves to beat TSM. I think they have a 2-0 record against them. No, they don't. I don't understand. I don't know where this conspiracy came from then. I don't know why they. I think the conspiracy is that they picked 100 Thieves to go beat TSM.
It might be that in like last week, 100 Thieves beat TSM.
Wait, hang on.
That might be it.
Hold on, hang on, wait. TSM has to go to finals. Apollo and Hakuo aren't even in the fucking playoffs.
Well, we tried, boys.
Fucking Immortals didn't make it. TSM's going all the way, boys.
Doubt.
all right. Let's talk about what matchups are we looking forward to. Like player to player, role to role. Who we looking at?
I am excited for none of it.
Matt, this is just like the only thing that can happen for Matt is losing, because if they don't win out, it's failure. They went 17-1, and if they don't knock some heads real easy, it's gonna look bad, and I'm never gonna stop talking about it.
Yeah, it's literally just lose-lose for me. Like, I mean, it's win if we smash fucking hot shit. We're in there.
But every time. You're on the precipice.
Yeah, every time.
You're waiting. You're right there.
It's like I don't know.
The fear.
I don't know.
The tension. The drama. I
am kind of excited for the Fly EG game because I think it's going to be closer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like that is the potential to be a more interesting series. The C9 100 Thieves is just going to be like walking around killing the small zombies in Doom. That's it. That's the whole game. That's it. Over and over again.
I really don't want to see the 100 Thieves versus C9 game as much because I don't want to see someday in a matchup against Licorice. And by the not necessarily that he's going to lose to Licorice, just like outright, but that he's gonna have to be there and watch the rest of his team get beat. I don't want to see that happen to someday. That's not what I want to see happen to my boy.
I think I'm looking forward to PoE versus Jizuke, and probably Wild Turtle versus Bang. Those two matchups seem to be kind of what I'm there for. I want to see these two powerhouse mid lane. I say powerhouse. They're pretty good mid laners, but they're European mid laners. They're gonna go at it, and it seems like the closest matchup to me, and it looks like it's gonna be interesting. PoE's had some interesting, some good carry potential on his team, and so has Wild Turtle. And I feel like Bang hasn't been in that hyper carry position a lot. He's just been a lot more solid. So I'm wondering if if they're gonna try to play to Bang it for a carry, and is that like how's that gonna work out? It just these are the ones I'm looking forward to. They seem the most interesting. Kumo versus Viper or Solo just seems like If Viper gets Riven, he wins. Otherwise, Kumo's probably fine.
Yeah.
And Sven's gonna win. Hands down. Can't help you there. I'm just glad I don't have to watch Ica. Ica's my new punching bag, Matt. It's no longer Dokla.
It's no longer Dokla.
I was Dokla playing League of Legends last year. Oh.
Mm.
Let me just double check that we're not missing anything newsworthy. Which I doubt. No, it doesn't look like it. The new Coven skins actually look fucking dope. Did you see that T1 rebranded to F1?
They rebranded.
Yeah, they rebranded to F1.
Why?
Hey, Mont, what day is it?
March 31st.
Okay, what time is it in Korea?
I have no clue.
It doesn't matter.
It's April Fool's Day in Korea.
God damn it. Makes sense.
It's also like I have to probably close the. Well, it's probably 10 o'clock ish, same as us, except in the morning.
Okay.
God damn it, Hamra! How would you miss that?
I am trying to see. I've actually 9 a.m. in Seoul right now.
All right, I'm out of topics.
Yeah. At this point, I'm trying to figure out what happened to Arrow.
I don't care. That man absconded with Haunter's MVP.
All right. Anyhow. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much all.
That's it. Matt, we're out of topics.
You want to take us home?
Yeah, I think I will. That'll do it for the regular season of the Spring Split 2020, the LCS. You can catch us live on Tuesday. Actually, okay, next week we're gonna be live on Monday at 8, I think, and then Thursday at 8 because they're playing the losers bracket Tuesday, Wednesday at 4 p.m. So catch us on twitch.tv/NizzyTV11 next Monday at 8 and Thursday at 8. Normally it's on Tuesdays at 8, and we should probably go back to that after that because they're back to normal schedule. Catch the VODs on Legendary Podcast YouTube channel, and have a nice night.
Oh.
Good night, friends.
Good night, good night, good night.